What's going on, YouTube? Heylow here, bringing you another Total War Warhammer 2 2v2 matchup. So today, Dimmy G and I are going to be bringing you a pretty fun match we played where we do Chaos and Norska and we bring all of the Regiment of Renowns to the fight. So let's jump right into the composition here. So for Chaos, which is myself, I have the Soul of Damnation artillery piece. I have the Swords of Chaos, Chaos Knight on the flank, the Summoners of Rage in the rear, Weird Spawn, Chaos Spawn to back up the front line, and then all across the front line we have the Demon Spew with a Chaos Sorcerer, Lord of Fire, and we have the Mirror Guard with Sigvald, of course, and then we have two Aspiring Champions just to close out the rest of our funds with 2 chevrons each. So, for Norska, run by Dimmy G, we have a front line of just some spears and marauders, just spent the rest of his funds on some bodies. We are going to be led by Wulfric the Wanderer, who is going to be running on foot. We're going to have the Brutes of the Hound Marauder Berserkers, the Icehorn Marauders, the Regiment around Marauder group, the Soul Crusher War Mammoth, Shaman Sorcerer with Lore of Death, and then out on the flank we are going to have the Maws of Savagery Armored Skinwolves and the Beasts of Tashanar. Now these Skinwolves are really nice because they get to Vanguard to play as well, I believe. But yeah, that's going to be it for us. So over to the opponents over here, it is Coast versus Dwarves, and we are going to have a front line of some Miners with blasting charges supported by some Thunderers, with Dwarf Warriors with great weapons all across the back, a Thane and Ungrim Iron Fist at the core, Organ Gun, Cannon, and another Organ Gun right up on the hill, ready to start unleashing its overwhelming firepower. So for the coast, we have some Zombie Pirate Deckhand Mob up front, Vampire Fleet Captain Lord of the Deeps, RNS Assault Spite, the Gallows Giant, the Regiment Necrofex, the Mortar, and some Polearm Deckhand Mob to support this Dwarf Cannon in the back. And then over on the flank, we're going to have some Sirens, and then some of the wonderful Crab people, the Rotting Prometheans, and some Deck Droppers with handguns out on the flank. So let's get going. Alright, so right off the bat, big concern, Hell Cannon. We don't really have the best way to protect it, but you can see what I did here was put it right on the back side of the hill so it could shoot right up and over and out of the woods, so it wouldn't be like a direct target if there was any like cannons and artillery, which there are. So right off the bat we're going to open up and start trying to take down some of these Thunders, get rid of some of that AP missile fire, and our opponents are going to be moving the Deck Droppers with handguns to try and go snipe out the Soul of Damnation. So what I'm going to do here is, because I don't want to lose this artillery piece, it's very expensive and we can get a lot of value out of it, I'm going to send the Summoners of Rage and the Swords of Chaos out to kind of just like be bait and hope that he'll be distracted and start shooting at them instead. Because they can probably take a pretty substantial amount of fire from these guys before taking any real sustained damage. But right off the bat we have the Miners tearing into these Marauders, which it was very good that we had because they soaked up some of that extra blasting charge and artillery right off the bat. Beasts of Tashanar desperately trying to rush in there before getting shot out, but they take a substantial amount of damage. And I managed to get a really nice burning head down the line here across all of the pirate deckhand mobs once they get engaged, and it just does tons of damage right away. But the opponents are going to try and retaliate with the Bangeist Revenge, try and get some really nice shots in here, and it is going to do some very, very significant damage to the Brutes of the Hound, Marauders, and some Aspiring Champions. Fortunately, it kind of went cockeyed, so it didn't go straight across the line. But out on the flanks here, we get the Summoners of Rage into these Rotting Prometheans, and we have the Swords of Chaos into the Sirens as well, so all that flaming and magical damage is going to tear up that flank. The Soul Crusher War Mammoth is coming in now that we've kind of disrupted the front line and the artillery. Aspiring Champions bogging down these Miners. Weird Spawn getting into the thick of things against these Dwarf Warriors, and the Aspiring Champions with Standard Eye from Sigvald. But Sigvald and the Sorcerer are getting into the thick of things here, trying to take out this Vampire Fleet Captain and RNS Assault Spite. The Mist Stalkers are in here to support as well, and it is just all kinds of buck crazy. But Wulfric getting nailed by a cannon shot. It's just like, wow, what was that? But fortunately that is going to get pretty wrecked up by the Demon Spew and these Fimir, so he is going to be getting into the thick of combat, going after RNS and the Vampire Fleet Captain, doing a very substantial amount of damage. Fog of the Damned going down, but we countered that with Fight or Die from Wulfric, Gallows Giant here about to start getting beat on by the Summoners of Rage. The Mammoth Soul Crusher tearing up the back line, breaking up these zombie pyrotech hand mobs so that my Swords of Chaos can start getting through to the artillery. Aspiring Champions tearing apart these Sirens. Now this Deck Dropper mob is sitting back here just taking tons of shots into the Summoners of Rage, who are taking a pretty substantial amount of damage. Shaman Sorcerer is pretty safe in the back. Aspiring Champions still bogging this flank down. But way out here, we have the Maws of Savagery Armored Skin Wolves just kind of pulling Ungrim and the Thane away from combat. So they don't have any of that supporting buff ability or encourage in the main fight. And Aranessa and the Fleet Captain got absolutely dumpstered in that mess. There's all kinds of dead up in here. You can see the Fleet Captain's corpse. There's Aranessa in here somewhere. I don't know. She's around. But meanwhile, the Gallows Giant desperately trying to flee. Swords of Chaos wrapping up the flanks. Oh, there she is. Aranessa's running. But Swords of Chaos tying through, taking out some of these Thunderers, going into the Miners. Sigvald, the Summoners, and the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire are backing up Wolfric and the Miststalkers, just chewing all this stuff up. The Necrofex is down. But Aspiring Champions just starting to move through, provide that encourage, and just mop up some of the leftovers. The Soul of Damnation still has half its ammo left, still firing unimpeded, but Dwarf Warriors with great weapons getting in over here. Lore of Boats went down, and yeah, at this point we've wrapped up the entire right flank. We are now shifting over to the left to try and clean through the remnants of the Dwarf and Coast forces. But out here, the Beast of Tashnar tie down the Thane, and Ungrim is running back across unsupported. It's going to take him a hot minute to get over here, and we are just going to be sweeping through. All of these deck droppers still trying to put their shots in. The Icehorn Marauders hanging out in reserve to run interception and try to avoid getting shot up by these deck droppers. But yeah, at this point, not too much left for our opponents. A lot of the infantry is getting run through. The Swords of Chaos are just coming across and taking out what's left of the artillery pieces. We just kind of got them through the right side into those Sirens, and then pulled them through along the back and started hitting all of the RD and the Thunderers that we possibly could. But a Fireball goes off just to try and scare out the Thunders. Does a little bit of damage, but unfortunately doesn't rout them out. Swords of Chaos getting some nice rear charges, running around with the juice. Purple Sun goes off from Dimmy, and he does significant damage to these Thunderers, just wrapping them all up in that. But Icehorn Marauders take a nasty minor blasting charge, but they are going to get through, and the Brutes of the Hound are as well. Soul of Damnation popping a nice shot right in the core of that unit. And yeah, most of the enemy force has routed out, and we're just kind of pulling through. All that's really left here is Ungrim and this little pocket of Miners and the Thunderers, so all our forces are making sure to chase off the rest of the routing units, get rid of the cannon crew, help finish the balance of power, and that is GG. The opponents concede because Ungrim is the last man standing. Check out the kills here. So I lost about half my army, a little over. Sigvald just getting into the thick of things, fighting it out with Aranessa and the Fleet Captain. My Chaos Sorcerer got a really nice burning head and did some substantial damage in collapsing the deck hand mob front line. Aspiring Champions doing a really good job with the encourage bonus. Mirror Guard just kind of going up toe-to-toe with some Dwarf infantry. Demon Spew did an awesome job wrecking through the chaff. Swords of Chaos taking out the artillery, Weird Spawn supporting, Summoners of Rage getting rid of the crabs and the Necrofex, and Soul of Damnation got some really nice kills, just kind of hitting through some of the Dwarven ranged units. So over here, Dimmy G, Funky Donkey, I forgot he changed his name to that. It's too good. Wolfric got some decent kills, got really good damage done in helping out take out the Lords. Shaman got some okay kills off like Purple Sun and some other like Spirit Leeching done. Marauders soaking up some chaff shots, Spearmen as well. But yeah, all in all, Soul Crusher picked up some decent kills. I don't know, it just kind of worked. Nothing too substantially crazy. The Demon Spew got pretty substantial amount of kills. But other than that, it just like, I don't know, it was a really weird like synergy here that you just kind of had everything you needed. Like alone, this build is not good. But when we paired it up with the Norskin regiments and then had some like infantry chaff and the Marauders, it just, I don't know, all the bases were pretty covered, anti-large, all that good stuff. Some decent builds by our opponents here, Spike and AK-47, chaff lines, some artillery and Necrofex, not bad. Miners, Dwarf Warriors, great weapons to deal with some of the chaos stuff and some artillery. But yeah, it was definitely fun trying to bring all these regiments. So for today, we're gonna rock on into the next one and go for memes number 2. So this time we brought all the regiment renowns for the vampire counts and the dark elves. And in this one, we brought no extra units. It was lords and heroes only with the regiment renowns. So no extra chaff, none of that shenanigans to help bump up your build. But we are going to be taking on the wood elves led by Spike yet again, and then we're going to be taking on the Empire. So definitely a little bit tough. We didn't change the map because we didn't want it to be biased. So we just kind of rolled with it, and this is not ideal for a vampire count build, let alone all the regiments. But yeah, we're going to see how it goes. Man, this was probably some of the most fun games we've played so far. Regiments are super strong and really surprisingly durable. You usually look at this kind of build and think like, oh, there's no way it's gonna work, and somehow it worked. So right off the bat, before we begin here, we'll hop on over. In the flank here, we forward deployed the Chillgeists, the Dire Pack, and the Feasters in the dusk, as well as Slaanesha's Harvesters, and they're going to be getting immediately engaged by these Way Watchers, obviously suspecting some kind of corner shenanigans. And then over on the flank, we did the Devils of Schwarzhofen, Vargeist, and the Raven's Herald. What we were hoping to do was have that stuff hidden and then try and bait them to this flank by seeing these units and making them think like, oh, like they thought, or we thought we could hide them and we couldn't, and try and get them to swing over and go for a flank. But over here we have all of our regiments. We have Blood Dragon Lord on his Hellsteed. We have the Blades of the Blood Queen. We've got Hellburnai, Stearnsmen, Konigstein Stalkers, Bolt Fiend Dark Shards, the Chill of Sontar, and Malekith on his dragon, and the Knights of the Ebon Claw. It's the Tithe and Varix Reavers, as well as the Claw of Nagash. So anyways, now that that's done, we can hop on over to this engagement. So right off the bat, Way Watchers dumping some nasty rounds into the Chillgeist with that magic missile. And we're just going to go in and try and go for some charges. Avoid the Dryads because they have magic attacks. So we go for a little bit of a side sweep, get a decent charge into the back of the Hawks of Drakira. But he pops a really nice smoke bomb, decreasing our charge speed and speed. So we're kind of stuck right there. Dryads hot in pursuit. So we send in the Feasters of the Ghoul, in the dusk, excuse me, to go after the Dryads. Branch Wraith, pretty slow, getting a little bogged down right now by a single model of the Slaanesha's Harvesters. Trying to do some good damage, but they're getting nuked pretty hard by the Demogryph Knights with Halberds. Dire Pack did some good damage on the Way Watchers, but Malekith is over here getting hot and nasty into the Outriders. Karl Franz decides to go over and try and get a piece of that action. But Soul Stealer goes down on the Skirmish Cav, and the Knights of the Ebon Claw are coming in. I pull down my Dire Pack and Chillgeist to try and goon this stuff out. Meanwhile, Blood Dragon Lord is on his way over to try and support against Karl Franz, because he is a beatstick who pops Galmaraz and gets that bonus first large. Demigryph Knights coming in to back them up. Meanwhile, up in the corner here, we have the Feasters in the dusk wrecking out some Dryads and fighting the Branch Wraith. Fight's going to go pretty well for us. But in the air, Great Eagle gets a hold of the Raven's Herald. But over here we have the Devils of Schwarzhofen getting into the Great Swords, trying to pull the Chill of Sontar in to get into some of this infantry. And the Glade Lord is going into support against the Blood Dragon Lord, and all of these Way Watchers come in, and they're immediately trying to focus the Blood Dragon, and they get a really nice nat. Jade Wizard comes in and just sticks him there, and he is going to take serious damage from these triple Way Watchers, as well as Karl Franz. Fortunately, we managed to pop off our abilities, so Franz isn't going to land too many hits in, and he takes a nasty shot. Wow, the Glade Lord with that friendly fire, jeez. And Malekith and the Blood Dragon Lord are going to dip out of there. They don't want any of that Way Watcher action. Going to get away, try and pop some heals. Up in the corner again, the Feasters in the dusk are, I keep messing that up, are just kind of duking it out with those Branch Rays. Tithe and Stearnsmen, as well as the Konigstein Stalkers, very, very slow units, finally bringing up the rear. But in the core, the Blades of the Blood Queen are tearing apart this Empire State infantry. The Necromancer is getting in, and the Blood Dragon Lord is finally here. So we go for some zombie summons, pull the Devils in to get into the Dryads. Dryads are really going to struggle there. They have the magic attacks, but they're anti-infantry, so they're not going to do the best against the large monstrous targets. And yeah, out here, Way Watchers still trying to dump their ammo in. We summon a zombie on the Jade Lord who gets bogged down and stuck in the midst of that. Malekith over here, terror routing out some Way Watchers as well as some Halberdiers. And the Glade Lord flying around trying to look for somewhere to engage and support. Varix Reavers coming in to go after the Way Watchers and Hawkeyes as well. So yeah, the Way Watchers got through a lot of their ammo, which was a bit of a problem. Fortunately, we're managing to get in there and deal with that at this point. They've been kind of exposed, so getting some juicy charges in. Blood Dragon Lord gets his heals, and we pull the Vargeist in with him to support against the Glade Lord. Try and snipe that out early so that we can wreck some of that leadership. Maybe chase off the Way Watchers. Chill guys coming in as well. But over here we have the Tree Man beating it down with the Firebark Elders, trying to stomp out all this infantry, just not really working too great. Tithe coming in to back it up, finally getting into the fight. Helleburnai wrecking on this Tree Man. God, this game is awesome. Look at this shenanigans. Animations are so awesome. Oof. Thick combat. Oh man, the Chill of Xantar gets a really nice breath attack, putting some serious damage onto the Firebark Elders. And yeah, right now, Claw of Nagash in there just doing some of that AoE damage, has the magic resist, and we're just grinding this fight out. Necromancer pulling back after routing out some Dryads, more Dryads in pursuit. And yeah, Cho'Geist and the Blood Dragon Lord are running about trying to keep these Way Watchers busy, snipe out the Branch Wraith, and down here we have the Königstein Stalker Skeleton Warrior trying to chase down these Deepwood Scouts, the Devils of Swarshofen getting into the thick of things as well. Demigryph Knights with Halberds there to support though, going to be doing a lot of damage. Jade Wizard gets a really nice Earthblood on this pocket. So yeah, right now it's looking like we've won the main engagement and the main body fight, and we have a pretty substantial amount of health left. Chill of Xantar is at max HP, Necromancer's got some pretty good health, Claw of Nagash as well. Great Eagle comes in to combat. Fortunately, Sternsman can't like route out, so we're going to try and get in there and bog it down and get a rear charge with the Chill guys onto some of this infantry, try and tear route everything out. But yeah, sweeping up north here, trying to take out this last pocket of Dryads. Claw of Nagash coming in with that Mortis Engine effect. Summon the zombies to try and save the Necromancer and protect the Claw of Nagash from some magic attacks. Tithe wading into combat. Just enjoy this scenic view. Oh, these models are so fantastic. Halberdiers regrouping and charging down the hill. Oh, that's so cinematic. Claw of Nagash is going to move up to countercharge. The zombie horde rushing forth with the Necromancer. Oh man, I love this game. And then the Dark Elves, Blades of the Blood Queens, wading into combat up the hill, going for that charge to chase off some of this infantry. God, this is awesome. I'm getting all wrapped up and distracted. Let's get back to it. Alright, so that northern engagement and the main body is completely wrapped up. Malekith coming in from the flanks, Helleburnai chasing off the Tree Man, Raven's Herald shooting down and trading out with some Outriders. All that's really left is the Jade Wizard, some Demigryph Knights with Halberds, and some Halberdiers. Deepwood Scouts trying to get some good shots in, but the Blood Dragon Lord is going to go to town and start spanking down that Great Eagle, even though he takes a pretty substantial hit. Sort of anti-heroes, though, is going to help us trade that out. Necromancer rushing forward. We're going to try and get some summons off and trap down this pocket of Demigryphs. Bait him out with the Cho'Geist. He goes for the chase, gets a little caught up, and the enemy concedes. They just don't have enough left to deal with like Malekith, all this elite infantry, as well as the Blood Dragon Lord who routed out the Great Eagle. But man, it's so much fun. I love this game. It's awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed watching us meme around with Regiment or Renowned builds. It actually worked surprisingly well. Blood Dragon didn't really pick up any kills, but he went and wrecked the Glade Lord, Karl Franz, the Great Eagle, going after the big high priority stuff. Necromancer was there for some zombie summons. And then, yeah, all the regiments picked up okay kills. We were mostly trying to chase down all these Way Watchers and the Deepwood Scouts. Devils of Schwarzhofen going after the Eagle and Lords as well to back up the Blood Dragon Lord. Claw of Nagash stayed back for a while just so it didn't get sniped out by Way Watchers. And yeah, picked up some good Mortis Engine effect in the middle there. But the real MVP is Chill of Zontar with 136 kills and 140 kills on the Blades of the Blood Queen. They absolutely dumpstered. No kills on the Halibut Eye, but they took down a Tree Man, so I mean, I feel like that's a pretty good trade. Unfortunately, Knights of the Ebon Claw and the Slaanesh Harvesters got pretty focused down early on by those Demigryph Knights with Halberds, so we kind of lost them, but definitely worthwhile. Malekith picking up some good kills as well. But yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed our shenanigans with the Regiment of Renowns. We'll probably be bringing some more weird nonsense at some point, as usual. But if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and I will see you guys next time.